The equipment here's still in good shape. Wouldn't go amiss in Edgewater.
I'd be good Spacer's choice on a little outpost here. But no, they got the whole asteroid themselves. Watch this! Anyway, as I was saying, I'd be good Spacer's choice on a little outpost here. But no, they got the whole asteroid to themselves. How do you just buy a whole asteroid? You gotta show me how you did that.
facility is currently experiencing an emergency evacuation. Please be aware.
Captain, transmission request from Ambrose Manor.
Captain! Imagine my surprise when I saw the Unreliable leaving Gorgon with so much urgency and purpose. Tell me you found Mother's journal. I'm positively dying for good news. Someone? You mean someone still has access to the facility? Oh, after all this time. Who was it? Of course. They know you're on the case and they're scrambling to cover their tracks. Good thinking, Captain. Make sure you have eyes on the back of your head. I doubt we've seen the last of this human vexation. If I know Spacer's Choice, getting past the lockdown will be more complicated than just hitting a big red button. You'll need authorization, and layers of it. I seem to recall that Mother worked closely with Gorgon's R&D personnel, but not close enough to invite them over for dinner and cocktails, if you get my meaning. By now, they'll have moved on with their lives. If only I could do the same. I knew Mother was involved with some important chemical trials, but I had no idea her pet project was adrenatime. Adrenatime is a working man's stimulant, like a caffeinoid. Very popular at launch, though the marketing quieted down over time. What? No. I mean, there's some very morbid wording in the fine print, but I had no idea adrenatime could make marauders out of people. That's it. That must be it. Spacer's Choice is keeping their dirty little secret about adrenatime off the record. We have to find Mother's journal. If we don't, then Spacer's Choice gets away with murder. I only hope we aren't too late. Adrenatime was touted as the working man's best friend, a drug that boosted productivity with no adverse effects. The promise of adrenatime cannot be overstated. Exhaustion and fatigue were supposed to be obsolete. Workplace accidents would be things of the past. For whatever reason, the drug never lived up to that promise. I don't know. And thanks to Spacer's choice, we may never find out. I know that I'd like to see a colony where the promise of adrenatime was fulfilled. And I doubt I'm the only one. Thank you. I certainly ought to know what I'm doing. I spent years trying to break into pharmaceuticals, professionally speaking. Mother wouldn't hear of it. She didn't think I had the wit to succeed in her line of work. Safe travels. If your leads give you any trouble, be sure and give them some trouble back, yes? Ta!
That's what we really need, you know?
More of you standing in my light?
A repair drone that repairs itself.
Zero G Brew, an ale that's good for what ails you. Although in the early retirement district, nothing will. All this and more will be complimentary for the entirety of your stay, courtesy of the Halcyon Holdings Corporation. You won't have to spend a bit. So relax, grab a refreshment from one of our vending machines, and enjoy our specially constructed welcome center. While you're here, be sure to check out the displays for some fun facts about the early...
If I spit, think I can hit that mechanical down there?
Anti-Creo's ketchup. Organic, vegan, handmade, gluten-free, dairy-free, milk-free.
Is Lexio still drinking? Okay, I got another one. I can only live where there's light, but if the light shines on me, I die. What am I?
Huh, that's a tough one. I'm gonna have to go with a conspiracy.
I don't think you're taking my riddle serious, Felix. Anyway, the answer's a ship.
Hey, I was close.
Wonder what Junmai's up to.
Welcome to the Musgrave Family Collection. Still a work in progress. I'll tell you what I've told all the other guards. Mind your boots. Our floors are not made for armor. If you're here for the annual Canid review, I'm afraid it's already over. Only thing going on behind those doors is good, old-fashioned lawful behavior. This greeting constitutes your confidentiality agreement. You hereby agree not to disclose the location or existence of these events. Thank you for cooperating. Exactly. You do catch on fast. Now then, how can I help you? We find that our clients enjoy the appearance of participating in illegal activities. Secrecy contributes to a feeling of indecency. The Musgrave Family Collection was intended to be a gallery of fine art. And here we are, using this place to practice semi-legal canid shows. Scandalous, isn't it? That's privileged information. I really shouldn't tell you. That's a fair point. All right, I'll tell you. But just keep this between us. The Musgraves own one of Earth's largest private collections of art and literature. They were going to have the entire collection shipped all the way to Halcyon. Unfortunately, that collection never arrived. We haven't heard anything from the delivery convoy, and there's some purely hypothetical concern that the collection might be, well... I was going to say indefinitely delayed by unforeseen and unknowable circumstances, but yes. Let's go with that. Anyway, that's as much as I can tell you. Will there be anything else? Mr. Mostly is indeed attending our event, although I am disappointed to discover he did not officially enter his canid Laplace into our competition. You should find Mr. Mostly just inside the prep room. Head inside and take the door to your left.
Just between the two of us, I hope this doesn't become a tradition. Not looking forward to the next...
Hey, Maverick Johnston's newest star. I've got a question for you. Do you know the interesting thing about canid shows? Oh, but there is, if one possesses an eye for statistics. Mathematically speaking, the interesting thing about canid shows is this. They're an exercise in futility. Winning is predetermined. Over time, the inevitable trend is that the race goes to the swift. Time and chance are just statistical outliers. In other words, if you put enough canids through enough trials, the one with the most optimal attributes generally wins. Exercise in futility. What gave me away? Wait, don't tell me. You've read my monograph, Putting the Us in Calculus, or How to Use Mathematics to Find Your Statistically Significant Other. I'm afraid I don't really do autographs, but yes, I am Clarence Mostly. Oh, then you're not here about my monograph. It's true, I was involved with Project Gorgon, but that chapter of my life is long since closed. Listen, I don't know what you want with Gorgon or with me, but let me give you some free advice, Let the past go. Live in the moment. Enjoy the party. Lifting the lockdown won't be easy. You'll need to send overrides from the chem lab and human inquiry. I don't have that level of clearance, but I know 2 people who do. The trouble is, I don't know you. I don't trust you. I washed my hands of Gorgon, and you're asking me to dirty them all over again. I'm going to need a good reason. Why are you going through all of this trouble for a journal? Actually, don't tell me. I'd like to maintain plausible deniability. I want a favor from you. Do something for me, and I'll do something for you. That way we don't have to rely on mutual trust. The grand prize trophy to the Canid Review. I want it in my hands. Get me that trophy, and I'll give you the remaining researchers. Names, locations, as much information as I have. What, really? You'll do it? I mean, just like that? Don't you want to know why I asked you? Head into the main hall and take the elevator down into the maintenance tunnels. You'll find a service passage that leads up into the trophy room. The maintenance tunnel is the only way up into the trophy room. Some technician barred the door shut on our end. Ask Tilda Coatsworth about it, over by the podium. Oh, you're quite welcome. I look forward to observing your results. What's on your mind? At the moment, nothing. I have a one-track mind. I can't stop thinking about that trophy. Why isn't it in my hands? When is it going to be in my hands? And so on and so forth. You get me that Best in Show trophy, and it'll clear my mind right up. My eye! I was wondering where I'd misplaced that old thing. It's perfectly preserved, you know. Every eye possesses unique dimensions, not unlike a fingerprint. The circumference, the shape, the color of the iris. An eye makes excellent proof of identification, assuming you don't mind removing one. Well, that's rather responsible of you. I'll put a good word in your permanent record. I'd rather not get into the details. If Spacer's Choice ever asks you to test out their new model of monocle, just say no. What's on your mind?
Oh, just hear me out. It's a brilliant idea.
Is this about canid hunting? We've been over this before. It's a time.
Invest.
Here they come!
Try another weapon!
work. Nicely done. I sure hope these folks don't mind us borrowing this.
Come now, Anubis, you must perk up.
Oh, you don't have to be scared of these canids, Captain. I don't think they're gonna hurt you.
It's not canid hunting all.
You know, the careers of 9 out of 13 actors end after their debut serial. Enjoy the fame while it lasts. My trophy! Look at this thing! Have you ever seen a more garish monument to the boredom of the elite? If only Grandfather Mostly were alive today, I would have loved to wave this trophy right in front of his cataracts. I hope you won't take it personally when I say I had my doubts about you. Nothing ever gets done in Byzantium, you see. Competent work is, well, a statistical anomaly. Lifting the emergency lockdown requires overrides from the Chem Lab and Human Inquiry. Access to those facilities requires authorizations from 2 senior-level researchers. Marion Blakesley, Jasper Lowe. They went into hiding after the project collapsed, but I've managed to calculate their last known whereabouts within a reasonable margin of error. I see you're familiar with my technique. I'd love to show you my numbers, but there aren't nearly enough napkins in this room. After the project shut down, I had to keep my mind occupied. I worked on my actuarial tables, calculated the average lifespan of a Spacer's Choice worker, that sort of thing. I realized some of the researchers had to be alive. I ran some numbers, did a little research, and concluded that the two most likely survivors are Marion Blakesley and Jasper Lowe. Nonsense. I just needed a good old-fashioned statistical problem to busy my mind. Keeps the faculties lubricated. Let me stop you there. I don't accept anything for free. And if you're going to analyze me, I'd have to go through the trouble of hiring you on contract. Think what you will of my intentions, my calculations are sound. You'll find Marion Blakesley and Jasper Lowe at the enclosed locations. As far as I know, Jasper Lowe and Marion Blakesley are the only two surviving researchers with high-level clearance. If you want to lift the lockdown on the manufactory, you'll need to send an override from the Chem Lab and Human Inquiry. I'm afraid it's the only way. I know it feels like you're being led on. What is that colorful metaphor commoners use? A wild sprat chase? Remember, this is Spacer's Choice we're talking about. Their security protocols are just as inefficient and frustrating as their manufacturing. I'll tell you what I can. Dr. Marion Blakesley supervised the Human Inquiry and Auditing Facility. Live subjects, measuring tape and syringes, that sort of thing. Someone sabotaged the facility. Blakesley tendered her resignation and vanished. I'm reasonably certain she's hiding in a maintenance bay on Groundbreaker. Dr. Lowe described himself as a dazzling genius in his review. I disagreed. Of the 19 criteria that constitute the rubric of genius, Dr. Lowe only met 15. After the project shut down, corporate traded him off to Anti-Cleo in exchange for 5 lab coats. He's been transferred to an orbital lab around Olympus. Oh dear. How do I explain this without using too many syllables? Lab coats means scientists. It's a colloquial... It's slang. Let's get back on topic. You'll find Dr. Lowe in an orbital lab around Olympus. Certainly. What's on your mind? I'll tell you what I can. Dr. Lowe described himself as a dazzling genius in his review. I disagreed. Of the 19 criteria that constitute the rubric of genius, Dr. Lowe only met 15. After the project shut down, corporate traded him off to Anti-Cleo in exchange for 5 lab coats. He's been transferred to an orbital lab around Olympus. Our office gave Dr. Lowe and his team every opportunity to develop a drug under perfectly reasonable guidelines and generous deadlines. Dr. Lowe failed to meet our requests and largely succeeded in using our supply of drugs to get himself higher than the mortality rate of a line worker at a Saltuna cannery. Try to exercise caution. It's good for your lifespan. You did fetch a trophy for my little Laplace. Technically, that makes you my canid servant, and by the transitive property of employment, my responsibility. No need to sound so astonished. Now, was there anything else? Let's try to keep it down, shall we? At least pretend we're being discreet? There's not a lot about Project Gorgon I can tell you. I know that's not what... Look, don't tell anyone I said this. But if there's anything I've learned by living in Byzantium, it's this. If you go looking for the truth, you are looking for trouble. All right. Ask your questions. And then if you don't mind... Minnie Ambrose. Oh, Olivia's brat. Ambitious, but like the rest of her family, irrelevant. She tried following her mother's example, failed, and if she ever tried again, I couldn't tell you. The name Ambrose doesn't mean anything to me anymore, or to anyone halfway respectable. The Ambroses are, how do I put this politely, obsolete? A family's name is only as strong as its enterprise. The Musgraves have Rizzos, and the Schuyler's have Auntie Cleo, and so we show those names the respect they deserve. The Ambrose name was associated with Project Gorgon. The project died, and so the Ambrose name died with it. That's just the way the game is played. Project Gorgon was designed to change the life of every worker on Halcyon. We weren't just building a product, we were trying to build a society. How many workers call Halcyon their home? What do they eat and when? How long do they sleep? How hard do they work? What are their most productive years? When do their organs begin to fail? That's the nature of my work. I study human life in order to determine its value. Jewelers appraise diamonds, and I appraise people. Of course you can. You can break the entire universe down into numbers and statistics. Human beings are as much a part of the universe as weather patterns and orbital mechanics. It's complicated. I'll be honest, I didn't join Project Gorgon because I wanted to satisfy my intellectual curiosity. I was courting the daughter of a Spacer's Choice family. We were a mathematically congruent match, you see. I had the proofs all written out and everything. Everything. Every project has a margin of failure. We expect setbacks, complications, delays. Project Gorgon experienced a cascade failure. One mistake precipitated another, and another, and another. The labs failed to develop a safe drug. Human Inquiry failed to perform their tests responsibly. An unsafe drug tested on unhealthy subjects by irresponsible supervisors. That's Project Gorgon. I know. Project Gorgon was a failure of leadership. Leadership to which I belonged. I should have pushed for stricter supervision. We gave the other departments too much freedom and not enough oversight. Spare the rod, spoil the servant. Anarchy is not a crime. It is a symptom. The undisciplined workplace secretes anarchy the way our glands secrete enzymes. It's a principle of science. Sabotage came first. The chem lab, Human Inquiry, even my own office. Sabotage broke the discipline of our workplace, leading to confusion, leading to escaped subjects, leading to anarchy. No one appreciates the value of good data. The holistic surveillance device I wear is an invaluable tool, gathering data on all my day-to-day activities. My former colleagues can go into hiding and live in ignorance for all I care. I prefer the self-examined life.
Got it. Heads down.
You'd only be letting them into Byzantium temporarily. Long enough for the Canids to sniff them out and chase them around.
It's the principle of the matter. Everything belongs in its appropriate place, and laborers do not belong in Byzantium.
I just think you're being rather narrow-minded. A common laborer might enjoy the chance to see Byzantium. Granted, they'd be seeing Byzantium while running with their lives with Canids at their heels.
Bring the idea up in committee if you're so adamant. I just don't think they belong here.
Hortense yells at me about vagrants one more time.
Remember that stranger I saw in the square?
Wouldn't it be something to see an Earth assault cruiser land?
You need a level head.
Don't be ridiculous.
Auntie Cleo's pipe patch. All of the benefits of smoking a real pipe, none of the messy cleanup.
That episode from a few weeks ago was supposed to be an incident.
Dissidents blew up an orphanage? That's awful.
Thank the law we live in Byzantium, right?
Auntie Cleo's antibiotics. Take comfort in knowing that anything antibiotics cannot stop will probably kill you quickly. Try Auntie Cleo. It's better than nature.
I only wish they weren't showing so many spacers.
My dear fellow, you've no idea how much I suffer. Why, the loafers working on factory lines are fat.
Spacer's Choice Zero G Fruit.
Your best find this week. Go. I wrote someone up for slandering trademark product.
Don't you think we ought to go inside?
I suppose. There's an outside possibility we'll run into Spencer Woolrich.
Rizzle's Purple Berry Crunch, Triple Flakes, and Purple Berry flavored power
I
nuggets.
just stand
Now with 12%
gawking,
more crunch.
starstruck.
You would, wouldn't you?
I tell you what, we'll change the font in our contract.
The dissidents actually...
Auntie Cleo's facial mask.
Why can't something exciting happen around here for once?
Nothing wrong with stability. It means everything's running like clockwork.
Don't you ever want a little fun? Maybe see a marauder ship get blown to bits overhead.
Someone has left a threatening message on your terminal. The Groundbreaker Auxiliary Base.
Look at these hole heads. What?
Hey, you! Hey, you! You serious? Get back here! Whoa, whoa, who's this? The back base brat? What are you doing here?
I've seen these guys around. They like to walk with cold shoulders and play at being mercenaries. What do they call themselves again? Landscapers? Green thumbs?
Gardeners! We're the gardeners. And you know this is our turf, kid. Yeah, I know that lady. I know she's looking for, solitude. She hired us to make sure no one comes sniffing around. Guess that's bad news for your plan there. Yeah, we're the gardeners. We keep order back here on these dangerous streets. Hallways. You know what I mean. Anyway, Blakesley's given us standing orders to strongly discourage anyone who tries to come in. I like to, extrapolate from there. This deal with Blakesley's pretty sweet. We get paid, and we get fresh greens every week. My gums never looked healthier. What? Shit. Insurance, you said? Fine, I guess. Look, we won't give you trouble, but I can't say the same about Blakesley. She's got some crazy setup in there, so if you get shot, don't come complaining to me.
This one's clear, guys. Nice going, boss.
Looks like I don't know what to do.
This must be a step up from force factories, huh? Doesn't look like either of us are sitting pretty in Byzantium, big shot.
Come on, you two. We're all gardeners.
You have to be kidding me. I thought I made myself clear. Wait, what's with this? Hello? Damn it. Look, I get it. Some people need things spelled out. out for them. I'm sure one of the automate chemicals can explain.
Hey, performing
Everyone all right?
processing investigation.
Here they come!
You hear that? Sounds like it's coming from the other side of that door.
So who the fuck? Oh, wait, hang on, I can't hear a damn thing. Just gonna shut this thing off. Right. Marion Blakesley, what can I do for you, Mr. Home Invasion? Oh, sure. A real gathering of bright minds. Gorgon? I holed up in a forgotten cargo bay of a rotting colony ship just so I could never hear that name again. But here you are. That bastard. Is he still only mostly worthless, or has he achieved mathematical perfection in that regard? He'll be on to the next hobby in a week. Clarence lacks the attention span for this sort of thing. Someone wants to dig up the past, and you're the shovel, right? Ambrose. Well, I'll assume you're caught up then. That or hopelessly confused. Corporate demanded a product they could throw onto shelves. That put the squeeze on low at Chem to develop formulas. Samples. But how do you know if the product works? You run tests, see what happens. That's where human inquiry and auditing came in. I ran HIA, and HIA ran the tests again and again and again. And what happens is a whole lot of wasted time and even more bodies. Testing supervisor. I designed the initial testing regimens, managed the staff, made sense of the test results. Tried to anyway. People are complicated, and I don't just mean the test subjects. Try and avoid working with people if you can. It always gets messy. I'd have tidied up a little if I knew you were going to break in. You've heard the adverts, right? Work day and night, still feel refreshed the next morning. Now, what we tested for was dexterity, efficiency, compliance. The traits of a good employee. Numbers never came out right. I could have pumped gallons of those chemicals into every living soul in this colony. Wouldn't have changed that. What we got was marauders. Hey, do whatever you like. Life's short and we're all dying anyway. We had a few weird accidents, escapes, minor setbacks. But one day, all the test subjects got loose. Sabotage, they said. Wasn't just us. All of the facilities got hit hard. Shut us down for a while. That turned out to be the last straw. No. Ain't that kind of story. Spacer's Choice wasn't getting much use out of us anymore, so they shuttered the project, kicked Adrenatime out the door. And I came here. Indulge a scientist. What do you want out of this investigation of yours? Trying to liven up your memoir? Really? What good can that possibly do? Your crew feel the same? Heck of a world out here for the shy types. What do you get out of headbutting murderous auto mechanicals for your captain here?
A family. Or something near to it. We don't always get along or nothing, but what family does?
Fair enough. That's all I've got. Here, I still have this pass. Don't much feel like hanging on to it anymore. Made my exit the moment the project started falling apart. Had to steal some credentials. This should get you into the volunteer induction entrance. Please, I just messaged people with fake demands for their passwords. That's when they didn't just leave codes written down on pieces of paper. If I couldn't talk my way out past a simple facility lockdown, I'd be working for Rizzo's. That'll get you inside. What you do from there, that's up to you. Come on, I've left it behind me. Yeah, well, you have to go on, don't you? Guilt's a useless emotion. What good is thinking about the past over and over and over again? Please, I don't need... Fine. Fine, here, I remember one of my access codes. Just punch in the keypad equivalent for replication. Should get you into the offices. Maybe get you to my terminal a little sooner. Go test that persistence of yours out on Gorgon. Yeah. I'll make sure the auto mechanicals don't bother you on the way out. Sure, take it. Just drowning and dining options down here.
at those stars. Don't it make you feel small in the best way?